Hey, what's good? What's going on, everybody? You already know who this is, and it's definitely your favorite soulful child. Yeah. Sure, coming back at you once again on the PEG podcast, man. Positive energy generations, because we that for life. And you know I'm in my bag because I give you artist figures that help you push forward. I give you public figures and inspirationals that help you push forward. And I dug really deep to give my man, Mr. Venerable G. Dow, on to
Mhm.
the podcast, man. He's a how you say
Theravada.
Theravada monk, and he's practiced Buddhism. Let me start. He practiced Buddhism, and he teaches people how to manifest, not only manifest, but how to actually, I guess you say, master yourself within. With the positive energy. It's more than just positive energy, but this is his life journey, and you've been doing this about 35 years old, right?
I'm 35, yes.
Yeah, 35 years old. You've been a monk for about 7 years, and your mission is to inspire young people to achieve peace by exploring and teachings of Buddhas, right?
Yes.
So we're gonna dive into that today. And one thing I want to point out that he wants to mitigate teen suicide and increase students' resilience across the world. So we got a lot of things to talk about on the podcast. So we're gonna get to it. So you already know how we do it. If you want this social media, you got to stay to the end because that's how it works. We get that sauce and we're gonna vibe, man. So before we actually get started, I usually ask the guests to do a little word of prayer. But since I know that you practice Buddhism, hey man, I'm gonna open up the vase with a small prayer if you don't mind, so that we
Sure.
can basically give back positive energy and let's set the tone. So is that cool with you?
Yes.
All right, so all right, Father God, we just come to you as humble as we know how, just saying thank you. Thank you for Mr. Venable G Dow to be here and to give us more information, how to interact with our peace. We just pray for everybody to receive the message. And if this message is for you, we pray that you take it and you reach out to him to be able to expand your journey, Father God. We just continue to say thank you for this connection. In your whole name we pray. Amen. Hey, let's get it. So, man,
Amen.
let's dive into it, Mr. G Dow. All right, man. So, it's not really easy. Well, it's not an everyday thing you run into a month. All right. So, I want to talk about it. Today. We're going to actually talk about it and call this segment the practice of peace. Because, hey, as a person that practices positive energy, I tell people all the time, two negatives equal to a positive. So we have to learn how to manifest, how to not only manifest, but to how to deal and heal with the negative to get to the peace. So before you actually became a monk, all right, what did you do?
I was a legal and medical interpreter for the courts. I served judges and attorneys, and I also did medical settings for primary care offices, OBGYN, neurology, psychiatry, for 15 years. And from time to time, they still ask me to come in to interpret from time to time.
Oh,
But that's what allowed me to see all sorts of suffering in the world. When people hit the rock bottom, I was there. That's in the judicial legal setting. When they all get arrested and they get in trouble with the law, I'm there with them. And so I got to see the the stages of life. And of course in the medical setting, I got to see, babies being born. I get to see them grow up. I get to see all sorts of pain and suffering on the physical level with humans on that side.
oh, that's really cool. I actually was in the healthcare field as well. I did healthcare administration and medical assistance. So I was like you, I saw where people needed the help. And it's really good to have those type of people. I like to tell people it takes a special type of person to be in healthcare. And it really does to want to help people in their time of need. So as you became interested into want to take this journey into monk, I guess you could say, why did you pick? I don't want to still butcher the name, but I'm gonna do it. How you call it? Say it one more time for me. The
Theravada.
Theravada. I'm gonna get it before this over. I'm gonna get it. What made you go to Theravada monk? Like what is first of all Theravada monk?
So Theravada is the branch of school of Buddhism. There's three primary schools, and we are the originals. We are the longest still continuing school of Buddhism. It started out with us first before the school started to split due to not in agreement with certain teachings. So Theravada is the original, is very strict, straight to the point, no nonsense. I chose Theravada because, I need to be able to understand what it is that the Buddha is teaching, how I can use it in my life, how I can see results and quickly. So, I've always been veered towards Buddhism at a very young age. I've always been drawn to the feeling of being in a temple or a monastery, and that feeling of peace. It's everything is just so relaxed in there. And I'm writing a book right now. This is October and it's due next month.
Mm. Hey.
And as I'm sitting and writing this book, I'm reflecting back on how young was I when I got into Buddhism. And I'm going back into pictures. I'm going back pictures from a long time ago. And it's like when I was like 9 years old, I started going to monasteries. And
Wow.
so, yeah, but we Theravadins respect all of the other schools, just because we have disagreements a long time ago, thousands of years ago, we still work in harmony nowadays. We've never waged war with each other. So it's pretty awesome.
That sounds pretty cool. I know there could be a question out there, so I'm going to ask the question. It's top of my head, right?
Sure.
So, that the symbol of Buddhism is the Buddha that mostly everybody know the statue to be. Is that what you consider like that person? Is he Theravada, or was he the original monk, or was he one of the splits that you talked about?
So in Theravada, we pay homage and respect to the one and only historical Siddhartha Gautama. First name Siddhartha, last name Gautama. And I I think I have, let me bring the statue here for a second. It's right behind me. It's not
Okay.
far away.
Like definitely
So
is.
this is
Ah.
the Gautama. Um, so you can see from the side here and the front, and when we have certain Buddhist celebration, this is him when he was a baby.
Okay.
But this is, so when you put down Gautama, 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 yeah, this is the one and only historical Gautama, meaning we have evidence and proof that he once existed. In regards to the other Buddhas and other pictures and statues, it's debatable about the historical evidence. So
Mm,
again, Theravada is, we're the originals. We are like the old school Jedis of peace.
got
And
you.
so, yeah, that's the differences.
That statue that you put up is mainly used like where you type in like just meditation period. It'd be the first to pull up. So I
Yeah, you
recognize
would,
that statue.
yeah, you would put in Gautama Buddha.
Buddha.
Yeah, Gautama Buddha. Even if you misspelled it, Google would correct you because a lot of searches has been done on Gautama Buddha, the one and only historical Buddha.
And I like that. I like that. It actually that gives people that thinks it was different. The two is different. It gives them an idea of like you said, this is Theravada is the original practice of Buddhism, and you guys make sure that you serve the one and only. You said Gautama, right?
Yes.
Gautama. I like that, man. So you've been doing this for about 7 years when you dived into it, and you before then you talked about how you was into the medical field. So what actually made you become a monk, and you picked the practice of Buddhism?
I've always struggled as a young man trying to make sense of the world, trying to make sense of myself. I wasn't one that sat still. I was one that with ADHD and could not sit
Yeah,
still. And also wasn't in a happy home, so therefore I'm always getting into trouble.
exactly. I gotta say that.
And in my teen days, again, into trouble, and the police would knock on the door every single night, returning me home to my parents, and like, y'all need to get your kid. And I hit rock bottom in 2015 when my grandmother passed away,
Uh,
followed by my best friend Jacob Hall in 2016. And that's what did it. I really hit rock bottom. I was on a very suicidal path. And that's what made me choose the path to peace. Because had I not chosen this path, it would not have been pretty. probably wind up dead or in prison.
And there's a lot of people around the world that deals with tragedy like that, losing their grandparents or a loved one, and some of them do pick the dark pathway. So when you was in your moment, you're like, I need to find something to hold on to, and you picked that the peace. What kept you from holding on to that last piece? Because I know in my time of sorrow where I hit rock bottom when my grandmother died, I was similar to like you. I felt very bad, and I was on a suicidal path, dealing with a lot of things, coming out my injuries with the military. So my thing for me to keep going was I saw myself do it, and once I saw myself do it, I knew I needed help. So what was that moment for you? Like, did you see yourself do it? Was it like, I know I could be better, so I'm going to reach out to something? Like, what was your moment when you decided to choose it?
Yeah, I was resistant to that change. I think we all are resistant to change about losing a loved one, meaning we don't want it to end that way. We don't want them to not be here. We wanted something else, and that's what causes so much suffering.
Yeah.
And the pain of change and resistance to change is what pushes a person to try to mask the pain, trying to treat the symptoms of pain by, drugs, alcohol, and other addictions. Um, and so, but thank goodness I was able to sit and reflect and realize that some things has to change.
Yeah.
Um, because if I keep on going through this route, it's not good. It's not healthy. It's not gonna it's not gonna end well.
Nah.
So this is why I tell my students, and this is the first thing that I identify in students is intelligence, because typically smart kids usually can tell me what happened, how it happened, why it happened, and as soon as I figure out that this is an intelligent kid, I tell them, listen, these are problems that you have created. You can also swim out of this problem if you wanted to. So a person with certain smarts can, in fact, see how they got themselves into a certain mess and realize that, look, you have an opportunity to change.
Right.
You can change the course of this right now
Right.
and not go down the path of, smoking weed, doing drugs, illegal activities, lying, cheating, killing, stealing. You can change. And that's what I did. I told myself, all right, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to trace the root cause. What I did was I traced the root cause
Mhm.
of my pain. How the hell did I get here? I asked myself. And I started going back in time as early as I can remember, as young as I was, about being in the home, who I was with, what happened in the home, the domestic violence, just why could I never sat still? And by tracing the root cause of the problem, I was able to realize, got it. That's what made me who I am. That's what made me so angry.
Mm.
Ah, understanding oneself. So, so that is what we all want to do, is to understand yourself. That is
Right.
spirituality, is just understanding you. And then so I figured, right, okay, I know exactly where I need to head. And Buddhism teaches you all of this. It
Right.
teaches you the basics. It teaches you how to trace the links of influence. It tells you what you need to do in a methodical order.
Mm. And then as you was growing up, were your family, I guess, were Buddhism, or were there a different practice of religion? Because you said that you started off young, but you've been doing this teaching and being an example for about 7 years. So was this was something your family was doing at first too?
No, I was Catholic. I was born and
Oh,
raised Catholic. Yeah, in a Catholic family. My grandmother on the maternal side was Buddhist. My dad was
mm.
Catholic. Now he doesn't identify with any of them. But uh my mom's side is Buddhist. So I think that's why they're always fighting. But
Could be.
I was I was born and raised Catholic, and I was able to keep the native tongue of the Vietnamese language because I went to church. I went to St. Joseph Cathedral down at South St. Petersburg when Father Dam was the presiding um abbot and priest over that church.
Mm.
So I was like, we studied Bible studies and also Vietnamese language, because the older folks knew that if we didn't, we would eventually lose our native tongue.
Oh wow, that's actually pretty cool. So basically, they make sure you guys know your language and your culture, because you have a lot of people that are Vietnamese or even a Mexican or African American descent, but they don't have that native tongue. So that's actually pretty cool that they was able to keep that with you, and then through all your teachings and growing up, you was able to see the Catholic side, you was able to see the Buddhism side. So you have a really unique mission, which is to teach youngins and young people to actually pick peace, choose peace by practicing Buddhism. Why did you feel that mission was important? Because I've ran into a lot of people that have practiced meditation or practice affirmations, but I know it's more than that. So why did you say this is very important for me to teach the younger people?
I have been meditating for 20 years and I have been sitting with the broken for 20 years. That meant all of my friends, that meant family, friends, people on the outside, people that I've just met. What does that mean, sitting with the broken? Is that growing up, I was able to observe my friends' lives, especially my friends that I grew up with, went to school with, acquaintances. And Shar, just 2 days ago, I met an old friend that I grew up with.
Oh
Again,
wow.
he nice family. I know his parents. And he told me, he said, hey, yeah. I'm looking at him and I'm like, wow, it's been like more than 10 years since I've seen him. And I was like, how have you been? And I'm looking, like wondering what the story is like. And he said, yeah, I'm doing good now. And so I got 3 kids. And yeah, by the way, previously I got shot here and here.
Oh
And I
wow.
was like, yeah, was it through and through? And I wished that the timeless teachings of the Buddha reached us back then, because all of us were just on a wrong path. And school doesn't teach you how to deal with breakups. School doesn't teach you how to
Oh.
let go attachments. And so these good kids, these good guys that I chose, friends, went down the wrong path because no one kind of reminded them, hey, this is going to lead you far from God. This is going to lead you far from peace. And they got themselves into this mess. And thank goodness they survived. Thank goodness this individual survived. Now, I didn't want to mention any names, but this was a second high school friend that got shot that I knew of.
Mm.
And I was just like, wow, holy cow, something has got to change. And I wanted to apply these teachings and made visible these teachings and accessible to young people of the Gen Zs, the Zoomers, because we millennials, we had it rough. So I wanted the Zoomers to
Thanks.
discover something that is to something different. The fact that, yeah, you can swim out of depression, you can swim out of anxiety. We can help you deal with breakups. We can help you with the attachment. We can help you deal with the toxic family that you came from.
Mm.
All of these, we can help you, and for free. I teach
Eat
for free,
that.
right? I just don't want to hear more stories down the road in my older days of kids getting shot. Just like we see the news now, we look at CNN, we look at MSNBC, we look at all these news, and we realize the world is gone out of control. We see
Oh,
that people
thanks.
far, far from the Buddha and far from God, far from Christ. You know, it's not good. It's not a good thing. And if we don't have safety in the world, you can't sit and meditate.
Mm. Now
Mm.
you said something very important there. We need to learn how to deal with breakups, deal with detaching ourselves, get more closer to God. And I truly feel that that's probably one of the missions why we build positive energy generation is to basically let you know that you're not alone, on this journey. Like you said, we all have been through terrible things as kids, especially you talked about those adversities of facing with your grandmother and your friend, so you've been facing a lot of adversities in your life. And one thing that I've noticed is like you're still holding on. That's the main thing. You're still holding on. So people out there right now, if you're going through this, you can still hold on. My man, Mr. Venom over here, he's telling you that he does it for free. So you got to stay around to hear his socials so you can be able to tap in with them. So with the adversities that you actually face in your life, such as your friend and old friends getting shot, mentally issues with yourself, your grandmother, why is it important for you to increase the student resiliency and mitigate it for students around the world, or especially teen suicide?
We've already started to see students drop out at a very high rated number. I was one that dropped out. Nonetheless, the generations nowadays, citing accumulated despair in young people. If they're not, if they're dropping out of school, high school level, middle school level, the chances of hope for them becoming good productive citizens is slim, and they're going to be channeled right through the jail system, right through the prison system.
Mhm.
They can't do any better if they don't know any better, and trying to keep them in school helps them to do better, so that they build confidence, self-esteem, self-concept, self-value, self-image, that they can in fact, have a better future of making it in the world and making the money that they need and they want, so that they can develop good family and so on. So I've already started. I mean, again, my days. Uh, I dropped out twice at Northeast High School and dropped out again at Pinellas Park High School, and then finished up my diploma at Life Skills Center of Pinellas, which was privately funded for kids like me. And the judge that presided at my graduation was a Judge Michael Andrews, and then later I served him and became his favorite interpreter. So I started to see things go downhill of my days and my age. So we got to try to keep students in school as much as we possibly can.
Mhm.
So that's the increased student resiliency, teaching them skills necessary to stay in school, because we all know senior year is really rough. Senior years,
Mhm.
raging hormones. They got changes in their lives. I mean, they're sick of the fourth year of school. I mean, just so many things where they fall in love, they fall out of love, and they don't know what's going on. It's chaos being that
Yeah.
age. And so increased student resiliency, and what was the other one?
No, just say the teen suicide.
And teen suicide,
Mhm.
right? And then of course, once they drop out of school, they are at risk of teen suicide. We've seen a huge statistical number in regarding that, and that's terrible, because our kids are our future, our investment, and we can't do much if they're just killing themselves left, right. Smart, intelligent kids, that we're losing lives. We're losing a lot. Um, you know, that to me is a big eye opener, studying teen suicides and looking at the National Alliance of Mental Health Institute and APA. It's alarming. It's very alarming. We have
Mhm.
to drop it. That is priority. Our kids are our priority, and no one talks about it, and no one brings it up to the surface. And all of the fundings need to be channeled towards these two priorities that I have identified nowadays.
Mm. I think that's very important that you're doing that, because now you could be, well, you are a walking example of that you can be better, you know. And like you said, our children is our future, because if they're not here, then who will be? You know, because that's how generations are made. So the fact that you're finding ways to actually freely give it out to people and the teens that you see at risk, I think that's very incredible, because like you said, not many people are doing that, not many organizations are doing that, and the funds should be credited to teen suicide, so teen awareness, to actually get them to think differently, because we've all been through high school. Like you said, you dropped out twice to even get to the finish line. So there's people I know that even didn't even get to the finish line, or maybe later they're now trying to go back and get it, and it's even harder. So with that, what would you say with people that's been through this life journey just like we are, has been through adversities like you have or similar things, and they say, man, I want to actually start their road to peace. Well, from your point of view, what would be the start to peace?
The start to peace is look at the details of your life and look at all the drama you've been involved in and try to cut back first and foremost. You
Mm.
can't sit and meditate if there's a bunch of drama going on, baby mama drama. Someone's breaking up with this, someone's gossiping about, talking all this trash, this stuff. When you don't practice right speech,
Mm.
you're going to sleep with one eye open, because somebody's going to be after you if you don't practice right speech. So, looking at the details of your life, realizing, who is the fool and who is the wise. How many friends you have that are doing foolish things, that are saying foolish things, that is not conducive for you to understand
Mm.
you and where you need to be. That would be the first step. The second step is trying to look at a monastery or a good qualifying teacher, experienced teacher, and reaching out and say, hey, you know what? This is what I think I'm dealing with: addiction, trauma, abuse. And I really like to talk to somebody about it and see what your take on it is, and how, your teachings can help me open my eyes to see the light at the end of this tunnel. And so, reaching out for help would be the second thing. and being really committed to it and making your peace priority.
I
That
like
is determination.
I like that. Making your peace a priority because you come first. You know, I feel like everybody should know that they're important because in everyone's life, you come first. Like in Mr. Venable life, you come first. In my life, I come first. Because without you, then how can anybody get that gift from you? You know, how can anybody learn if you're not taking care of yourself? And I really like that you said you have to really pick that piece and take that first step to get to the second step. So with that, taking that first step into peace, what would you actually say to people that are actually interested into wanting to learn your teachings, want to actually start their journey, but just like you, they started off in a different religion, like how you started off in Catholic. What let's say someone else started a different way, and they grew their upbringing was a lot different. How could they actually? Well, yeah. Where would they start? Where would you say they start so they don't feel conflicted? Because some people could feel conflicted.
You won't, because Buddhism accept everybody of any race, of any color, of any background, of any convictions, of any sexual identity, all of that. The Buddha does not care about where you came from, what you have done. Even if you've killed somebody, we would still accept you. Right?
I
The
like
story
that.
of Angulimala. Even if you're straight, gay, bi, transgender, we would still accept you. We're opening our hands, right? It is you that gotta want it. Anyone can reach out to me at any time. You know, I make myself available and quite accessible to the public. Now than ever before, you get to speak to a monk, and let me hear your story. I love hearing stories because I'm walking the journey with them, and to give proper recommendation and advice, hopefully better than therapy, because most of the students are coming to me, they're telling me therapy is not working out,
No.
and they have they have exhausted all options. And I said, okay, well, let the holy man try to take his take on it and see if we can help you. It does not mean that we are a substitute for mental health. It just means that we can be an add-on, an addition to this assistance. And sometimes you do have to revert back to psychology, to mental health experts that may or may need medications. It depends on each person. We try to meet you where you're at, and psychology is trying to do the best that they possibly can. Also, they're also I think everyone is burnt out in the psychology sector, because there's not a lot of fundings, and therapists are overloaded after COVID. And we holy men, there's not many of us that have training in psychotherapy and Eastern philosophy.
Mhm.
So I'm that unique blend of merging both Western psychology theories and practice, and um, and the teachings of the Buddha, so that all of us make sense of our world.
I love that. Like it's basically come as you are. You really is coming as you are and
Yeah.
accepting yourself. So you guys are the reason why people can come and not feel excluded, feel like they have to be this certain way, be that certain way. So everybody that's listening, if you're looking for peace, if you're looking to start your journey to healing, true healing, you have to heal my man, Mr. Venable, because he's telling you, come as you are, be most transparent. And I like that. Don't be in denial to the point where you can't be yourself. Be yourself so he could be able to help you. You being a Theravada monk, I'm sure you have faced a lot of changes in your life. So what would you actually say has been the hardest thing that you have like you had to face being a Theravada monk?
Um, we rely on the people to survive,
Mm.
right? And because I live here in America, not a lot of people know how we operate. And so we depend on donations to survive, all of the monasteries. Uh, and so it keeps the programs going. I have been struggling for books, cognitive behavioral therapy books. I've been struggling a lot to try to keep the programs going, and in order to keep the students within reach right here locally, from, again, suicide, and trying to keep them in schools. There's a lot of challenges being a monk, because we have 227 rules that we have to abide by.
Wow.
Um, and so, but we have to make it work. I have to make it work, and trying to cater to the people and serving the people, it brings great joy. And because of that joy, it keeps me in the order. I mean, because if I didn't like this, and if I didn't think that it was going to work out, or that I did not see results from students that have been reaching out, I
Mm.
would have already disrobed and went back to, being an interpreter. But the fact that I get so much joy out of students' commitment and dedication towards this path, that's what keeps me going. And it is what it is. So we'll make it work, again, with the help of the masses of people and
Mm.
crowdfundings. Eventually all of the resources gets channeled to where it needs to go and help people that needs the most.
And that's the main important thing. I really like that. I really like that. And I actually want to pivot off of what you had just said, as far as like, if this didn't really work out, then you've been in D row by now. Do you ever actually battle with being the monk you are today, the terrible monk you are today, the person you are today, versus the person that you were? You ever have those battles between the two? And if you know, what do you do when you face that moment?
No, it's I am who I am. I've been who I've always been. And so Buddhism is about finding the middle way. The blend of the crazy you and the peaceful you, whoever you are, is this is me when I'm tripping, and this is me when I'm at peace. This
Yeah.
is me tripping, this is me when I'm lit. And so I just did a couple videos on TikTok about the definition of lit, enlightenment and lit. So I invite you guys to go see that.
Oh yeah.
But I am who I am. I'm not gonna hide who I am. And I still play sports on the weekend. I'm still me. I still call up my guys and hang out. And just because I'm a monk, doesn't mean like I'm gonna, grab a tree and sit underneath there all day, every day. I do have my fun. I do, go out and have an active life. I talk to people, I engage with the public. I take care of myself, both mind and body. I work out, I play sports, I go rock climbing, I'm sweating, trying to keep fit so that I can continue serving the people. And that's what brings, just the most ecstatic joy a monk can experience.
Yeah, I love it. I love that you're yourself. People get to actually see that. Like, it's not just like, at first it's like being in church, you would see people play certain roles and that's who they portray. And then you can't see, okay, the trials and tribulations that they go through on a daily basis. You're like, look at me. I'm not perfect. I'm not the best person. I'm not the most holy person in the world, but look, I am trying. That's the main thing. I feel like you're trying. You're finding that balance, like you said, of when I'm tripping and when I'm not tripping, when I'm lit and when I'm not lit. I love it. I love it. And for the people that's right now listening, and they just, if they didn't hear anything that you said, and you can actually give a message in 15 seconds, what would that message look like? And go.
Heed the advice of the wise. Be aware of that little lawyer in your head that says, yeah, you got this, you can do this. But sometimes we miscalculate, and look at how much you have miscalculated. And again, reconsider what I'm trying to say here to you and for all, is that I've walked through this path, and most of my mistake was thinking I could do it on my own without the assistance of another.
Mm.
And so just be true and be you, and don't be afraid to reach out to say, yeah, this breakup is causing me to do this divorce is causing me to do that. The addiction to weed, the addiction to drugs, alcohol, intoxicating substances. Once you are honest to yourself and you reached out, you never know what the future can hold for you and how much better you can actually become. So I hope people would heed the advice of the wise and take action today.
When you was actually going through your battle, before you decided to become a Theravada monk, you talked about fighting these addictions, such as alcohol, weed, drugs. Did you have an addiction, or did you have a substance that you would go to, such as alcohol or weed or drugs, that you had to
I
fix and
did.
let it go?
I did.
You
All
did.
of that. Weed,
All of it.
drugs, alcohol, sex, you name it. We humans do that. We
Oh,
will
yeah.
choose all of these avenues to run away from the pain.
Mm. So then once you start to face yourself and choose to not run from the pain, then it became less and less of you actually wanting to go do those things, alcohol, drugs, because I'm pretty sure as a Theravada monk, these are things that you practice people and teaches people into letting go, which is the alcohol, the drugs, the wanting to run away, right?
Well, I mean, our mind's already tripping. When you use these intoxicating substances, you compound that trip even more unnecessarily. So
Mm,
how could you see the light at the end of the tunnel? You have to be aware, alert. You have to like know exactly what's happening, how your mind is tripping to be able to swim out of your problem. We're using the mind to fix the mind. We're using the one thing that causes us a lot of problems in order to fix itself. So you have to really pay it close attention. Again, the mind jumps all over the place,
yeah.
and this is heaven and hell resides right in here in your head. Happiness relies on the quality of your thoughts. If you keep on thinking negatively every single day, you're living in your own hell in your own head.
Uh. Hey, this is that heaven and hell on earth. You know, it started off in the mental. I love it, man. So you got to go ahead and get your social media out to where as people that's been listening and they actually inspired by like to just go talk to you and even take that leap of faith and take that step, the first step into peace. What is your social media people can tap into you at?
So venerable VEN for short, and then Chidao TRIDAO, right? TRI space DAO. And then you can find I'm all over Google, Instagram, TikTok. So Chidao Monk or Venerable Chidao. I'm on, a lot of podcasts. So feel free to reach out. Don't feel like you're bothering me or anything like that. The joy comes in serving the people is
Uh,
exactly what Buddha would want us to do, and it's exactly what Christ wanted us to do. So you know what? It's all gonna work out.
It's all in the making, man. It's bigger than us. I always feel like it's already written. So I appreciate you, Mr. Venable G Dow, for coming on to the podcast, spreading your positivity. And yo, go tap in with my man and make sure you guys stay tapped in into the new book that he'll be coming out very soon. And if nobody told y'all today, tomorrow, that they love you, know that Sharp from the Positive Energy Generation podcast love you. Know that Mr. Venable G Dow loves you, and go tap in. You are definitely loved. You're not alone. Live to inspire, and let's get it. Yeah, yeah. Let's go. Let's go.